Furthermore, a person engaged in Krishna consciousness, acting in devotional service, can develop all the good qualities that are generally found in the demigods.
In Krishna consciousness.
Happiness in Krishna consciousness. Srila Rupa Goswami has analyzed the different sources of happiness. He has divided happiness into three categories, which are 1. Happiness derived from material enjoyment. 2. Happiness derived by identifying oneself with the Supreme Brahman. And 3. Happiness derived from Krishna consciousness. In the Tantra Shastra, Lord Shiva speaks to his wife Sati in this way, quote, "My dear wife, a person who has surrendered himself at the lotus feet of Govinda and who has thus developed pure Krishna consciousness can be very easily awarded all the perfections desired by the impersonalist. And beyond this, he can enjoy the happiness achieved by the pure devotees." Unquote. Happiness derived from pure devotional service is the highest because it is eternal. But the happiness derived from material perfection or understanding oneself to be Brahman is inferior because it is temporary. There is no preventing one's falling down from material happiness, and there is even every chance of falling down from the spiritual happiness derived out of identifying oneself with the impersonal Brahman.
So this we have explained last time, how a person enjoying happiness as Brahma realization. There are many examples, both in the East and the West, that in our Eastern countries, the Māyāvādī philosophy is very prominent, and their basic principle is Brahma Sattva Jagan Mithya. The world is false and Brahma, that is truth. But we have practically seen many sannyāsīs, they renounce this world as mithya and take to Brahma realization path, but after some days they come down to politics, sociology, philanthropy. Why? If Brahma is sattva, Jagat is mithya, false, then why they, from the platform of sattva, they fall down again in the mithya? This is our question. To open hospital or to open a school or similar philanthropy activities are generally being done by persons who are embarrassed with this mithya world. Why the sannyāsīs who left this world as mithya and went to the platform of Brahma realization, and why they come to this platform again for opening school, hospitals? What is the answer? Huh? Is there any answer?
We can't remain there.
Huh? That means they could not realize the happiness of Brahma. What is your opinion, Gosai? If they would have derived any happiness from that Brahma platform, then why they would come down to this platform which was rejected as mithya? So accepting that Brahma realization is real happiness, but they could not realize that happiness. Under the circumstances, they must come down to realize happiness in these varieties of material world. because they found it better happiness by taking in politics and on political movements or opening school, hospitals. They found better happiness in these activities. Then why they say that this Jagat Mithya, these are activities of the material world. So, the answer is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam that there such kind of Brahma realization is not fact. That Brahma realization is answered in the Srimad Bhagavatam as vimukta manina. They simply think that they have become liberated. Actually, they are not liberated. Otherwise, how they come down again to the platform of bondage? This is the answer. Jannera bindakha vimukta manina. Vimukta manina, these impersonalists, they are thinking falsely that they have become Narayan or liberated. Actually, it is not so. Why? Avisuddha buddhaya. Their intelligence is not yet purified. Because there is material attachment, that means the intelligence is still materially affected. Otherwise, how they should be materially inclined and come to the material platform? The answer is avisuddha buddhaya. The intelligence is not yet purified. Why it is not purified? That is also explained. Ārujya-kritchena parang padam. By severe austerities, penances, they follow very strictly the rules and regulation of renouncement. That is called kritsha sadhana, difficult procedure for self-realization. But despite all these endeavors, because their intelligence is not purified, they fall down. Ārujya kitchena parang pada. The real is actually the impersonal Brahma, nirbhed brahmanusandha. Ārujya kitchena parang patanti adha. Again they fall down from that platform. Why? Anadrita jusmat anghaya. Because they could not adore the lotus feet of Krishna. On account of their impersonal impression, they could not appreciate the transcendental Satchidananda Vigraha of Krishna and could not surrender there. Krishna therefore says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mang prapadat. After many births of such struggle, when actually one becomes wise, jnanavan, he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the perfection of knowledge. So, impersonal Brahma realization, nirbhed brahmanusandhan, is good attempt. But above that, if one cannot make progress, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Sabdate, the absolute truth is realized as impersonal Brahma, then Paramatma, then the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So unless a wise Jnanavan, Jnani, does not reach to the platform of understanding the personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his intelligence is still not very much purified. Jannera bindakha vimukta manina tai astabhavad avisuddha buddhaya ārujya kritchena parang padang tataha patanti adha anadhita jusmadang. Because unless we get some shelter, we cannot stay in the impersonal feature. Just like yesterday I spoke that You may go very high on your Sputnik or airplane, but if you don't get any shelter in some planet, then you have to come back again on this planet. That is actually your experience. They are trying to go to the moon planet, but because they are not able to stay there, they come back again. First of all, whether they are actually going in the moon planet, that is also a questionable thing. Anyway, even they go there, why they are coming back again? They cannot stay there. So, unless and until we have got a stay in the Vaikuṇṭha planets, which are situated in the Brahma effulgence, then simply in the impersonal Brahma effulgence we cannot stay because there is no variety. Therefore, to enjoy variety, one has to come down again to this material variety. Ārujya-kriccena parang padang tata patanti adha anadritajusmadang. Because we are living entities, part and parcel of the Supreme living entity, Parabrahma, Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. So, as Sri Krishna is by nature joyful, anandamaya abhyasat, similarly, we are also joyful. We are also seeking after that joyful life. That joyful life is eternally possible when we dance with Krishna, not dance alone or dance with anyone else. So, unless we get that position, there is no actually happiness, because variety is the mother of enjoyment. That is an English proverb. Just like when we eat the same thing, grain and milk product, but when it is made in varieties, luchi, halwa and other things, the same, milk preparation and grain, but it is made into varieties, it becomes enjoyable. Variety is the mother of enjoyment. If I give you a lump of milk or lump of grain, that is not enjoyable. When it is made into varieties, it is enjoyable. Similarly, Brahma manifested in varieties, that is enjoyable. That you cannot have in the impersonal Brahma. When we approach the personal Brahma, Parabrahma, that variety is available and there we can enjoy. From there we do not return. Jadgatana nivattanti tadhama parama. So, simply impersonal Brahma realization, that happiness is not perfect. Neither these material varieties are perfect. So Brahma, Sattva, Jagan, Mithya, when we are fed up with these material varieties, we try to enter into the impersonal Brahma. But even in the impersonal Brahma, when there is want of varieties, then again we come back to these material varieties. Therefore, we see so many learned scholars, sannyāsīs, they give up these material varieties as mithya and enter into the impersonal Brahma, but without variety there, they come again to the material variety for opening schools and hospitals. This is the fact. So, ārujya-kriccena parang padang tata patanti adha. Because they have no information of the spiritual varieties in the Vaikuṇṭha planet, in the Golok Vrindavan planet, they come down. Because there is no bhakti in the Vaikuṇṭha planets or Golok Vrindavan planets, nobody can enter unless he is a pure devotee. Bhaktyamam abhijanati javan jaschami tattva. Tato mang tattato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. when one understands Krishna in truth, then he is allowed to enter. Otherwise, he cannot enter. He remains outside. Just like if we have got capacity to enter into the sun planet, then we can enter. Otherwise, we remain in the sunshine. To remain in the sunshine and to enter into the sun planet is not the same thing. Although the sun and the sunshine are light, illumination, still there is difference between the sun and the sunshine. Similarly, impersonal Brahma effulgence and Vaikuṇṭha planet, both of them absolute, but still Brahma effulgence and entering into the Vaikuṇṭha planets or Goloka Vrindavan planets are not the same. Or in other words, those who are not devotees but impersonalists, they can stay outside the Vaikuṇṭha planet in the Brahma effulgence, but they cannot enter into the Vaikuṇṭha planet. Anādhita jusmatangra, because they have not adored or glorified the lotus feet of the Lord. They are not allowed into the Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuṇṭha planet. And they cannot remain perpetually in the impersonal Brahma effulgence. They come down again to these material varieties. Arujya-kritchena parang padang tata patanti adhah. They cannot go upwards. They come down. That we have practically seen. All big Swamis, all Vedantis. But they could not find. Even big Swamis, they are now taking to Bhagavad and other Vaishnava literature at the present moment. Because their own literature is finished. How long they will simply call for Brahma. Unless they come to Krishna, there is no varieties of enjoyment. Therefore here it is said that there is no one, what is it?
There is no preventing one's falling down from material happiness, and there is every chance of falling down from the spiritual happiness derived out of identifying oneself to the impersonal being.
So every chance of falling down from the spiritual happiness. That spiritual happiness, nirbhed brahmanusandhan, nirbhed, without any distinction, and that is not real Brahma happiness. Brahma happiness means that there must be a distinction. The distinction means Krishna is predominated and everyone is predominated. Just like the gopis. Krishna is the predominator, and the gopis and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and the cowherd boys, servants, trees, plants, flowers, water, animals, cows, everyone is predominated. Krishna is only predominator. That is real happiness. Whenever there is any trouble in Vrindavan, they approach the predominator, and immediately the predominator takes care, and they are happy. This is Vrindavan life. As soon as there are torrents of rain, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they approach Krishna to give them protection, and Krishna immediately gave them protection by lifting Govardhan hill. So they were confident that Krishna is there. They did not know Krishna as God. They simply loved Krishna, and they were confident that so long Krishna is there, we are happy, we are out of danger. That is the conviction of the Vrindavan Vasi. They simply concentrate on Krishna. So, from that standard of happiness, nobody falls down. But other spiritual happiness derived from impersonal Brahma effulgence or localized Paramatma connection, because that is not complete connection, complete relationship with the Supreme Brahma, partial, Sat Chit Ananda, because unless we approach the personality of Godhead, there is no question of Ananda. You can achieve partially Sat portion, you can achieve partially Chit portion, Sat Chit. But unless you come to the platform Ananda, the real Ananda is with Krishna in the Goloka Vrindavan. So there is chance of falling down. One who does not endeavor to approach this platform of Anandamaya Abhyasa, where everything is simply Ananda. Even the birds and beasts and the flowers and the water, they are also enjoying that blissfulness. So that is required. Kritapunna punya. As Sukadeva Goswami said about the cowherd boy, Kritapunna punya. Sadhang vijarahu kritapunna punya. Ittang brahma sukhanubhutya. Dasangatanang paradaivatena. Māyā paradarakena sadhang vijarahu kritapunna punya. Unless one has accumulated volumes of activities, pious activities, one cannot enter into the Goloka Vrindavan platform and enjoy with Krishna in so many capacities. Shanta, Dasa, Sakha, Vatsalya, Madhurya, Ras. That is required. Gone.
It has been seen that great Māyāvādī, or impersonalists, sannyāsīs, very highly educated and almost realized souls, may sometimes take to political activities or to social welfare activities. The reason is that they actually do not derive any ultimate transcendental happiness in the impersonal understanding, and therefore must come down to the material platform and take to such mundane affairs.
The material variety is the perverted reflection of the spiritual variety. As it is described in the Bhagavad-gītā, 15th chapter, ūrdhva-mūlam, adhah-śākham. This tree, this material world, compared with a aśvattha vṛkṣa, the root is upwards, and the branches and leaves are downwards. Why? Because it is reflection. Chāyā or māyā. The real tree is in the Vaikuṇṭha planet or in the spiritual world. It is only simply a reflection, just like a tree standing on the bank of reservoir of water, on the bank of a lake or a river. You'll see the tree is reflected downwards. So this description in the 15th chapter of this material world, downwards, ūrdhva-mūlam, adhah-śākham, means this is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. The real tree is in the spiritual world. The other day, who was asking about this question? Some of our ūrdhva-mūlam, adhah-śākham, who was asking me? Gopal, he is not here. All right. So, adhah-śākham, ūrdhva-mūlam, this means this material, all the varieties, here is also representation of Shanta Ras, Dasa Ras, Sakha Ras, Madhurya Ras, Vatsalya Ras. Here is also the reflection. We see, just like we are sitting on this ground, underneath the tree, this is the earth is serving us in Shanta Ras. Similarly, we have got our servants, that is Dasa Ras. We have got our friends, that is Sakha Ras. We have got our parents, that is Vatsalya Ras. And we have got our lovers also, that is Madhurya Ras. But it is only reflection. Yeah, it is compared with the mirage, just as the desert, there is reflection of water. Actually there is no water. Similarly, all this perverted reflection of Shantaras, Dasaras, Sakkharas, this is just like mirage. It is simply a reflection. It has no actual fact. Here, nobody is friend, nobody is servant, nobody is parent, nobody is lover. It is simply a bondage on some self-interest. The servant is not actually serving the master. It is serving the money which the master gives him. As soon as the payment will be stopped, there will be no more service. Therefore, it is a perverted reflection of that service attitude in the Vaikuṇṭha planet. And similarly, we have seen there was high court cases between mother and the sons, and they spent lots of money. Still they could not come into conclusion. The motherly affection, the fraternal affection, they're simply a shadow. It appears to be true because the truth is elsewhere. Just like in the desert, it appears there is a great, vast mass of water, but actually there is no water. And that does not mean there is no water. The impression of water is there because there is actually water somewhere. Similarly, we are trying to test the 5 rasas in this material world because actually these rasas are there in the spiritual world. This is only reflection. ūrdhva-mūlam, adhah-śākham. And because in the spiritual world it is a fact, we are taking these false things as fact. These temporary things as fact. Actually it is not fact. Gone.
There are many instances, especially in India, where these Māyāvādī sannyāsīs descend to the material platform again. But a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness will never return to any sort of material platform. However alluring and attracting they may be, he always knows that no material welfare activities can be compared with the spiritual activity of Krishna consciousness. Mystic perfections achieved by actually successful yogis are 8 in number. Onima-siddhi refers to the power by which one can become so small that he can enter into a stone. Modern scientific improvements also enable us to enter into stone because they provide for excavating so many subways, penetrating the hills, etc. So Onima-siddhi, the mystic perfection of trying to enter into stone, has also been achieved by material science. Similarly, all of the yoga siddhis, or perfections, are material arts.
The yoga siddhis, they are simply material arts. Just like one example is given, that Onima-siddhi. Onima-siddhi means to enter into the stone. So, we see in the Western countries, they are boring big hills and entering in the stone. So, that Onima-siddhi is being possible, is made possible by modern scientific researches. So all these siddhis, ashta-siddhi, anima, laghima, prapti, prakama, ishita, vṛkṣa, these all siddhis are material. They are not spiritual. But people do not know what is spiritual perfection. They become amazed by seeing some magic by these yogic arts. They are simply material arts. One.
For example, in one yoga city there is development of the power to become so light that one can float in the air or on water. That is also being performed by modern scientists. They are flying in the air, they are floating on the surface of the water, and they are traveling under the water. After comparing all these mystic yoga siddhis to materialistic perfections, it is found that the material scientists try for the same perfections. So actually there is no difference between mystic perfection and materialistic perfection. A German scholar once said that the so-called yoga perfections have already been achieved by the modern scientists, and so he was not concerned with them. He intelligently went to India to learn how he could understand his eternal relationship to the Supreme Lord by means of bhakti yoga, devotional service.
So therefore, bhakti yoga is the greatest science. Other things, the yogic perfection, can be achieved by the materialist scientist. So that is not very great art. The greatest art to learn is how to learn bhakti yoga and understand Krishna. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Evang prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. When one is freed from material contamination, then one can understand the science of bhakti yoga. So, somewhere or other, if we try to understand bhakti yoga, that is the greatest science, that is to learn. If you actually want to learn something greatest in the scientific world, that is bhakti yoga. Go on.
Of course, in the categories of mystic perfection, there are certain processes which the material scientists have not yet been able to develop. For instance, a mystic yogi can enter into the sun planet simply by using the rays of the sunshine. This perfection is called Laghima. Similarly, a yogi can touch the moon with his finger. Though the modern astronauts go to the moon with the help of spaceships, they undergo many difficulties, whereas a person with mystic perfection can extend his hand and touch the moon with his finger. This siddhi is called prapti, or acquisition. With this prapti siddhi, the perfect mystic yogi can not only touch the moon planet, but he can extend his hand everywhere and take whatever he likes. He may be sitting thousands of miles away from a certain place, and, if he likes, he can take fruit from a garden there. This is called prapti siddhi. The modern scientists have manufactured nuclear weapons with which they can destroy an insignificant part of this planet. But by the yoga siddhi known as aśvattha, one can create and destroy an entire planet simply at will. Another perfection is called vṛkṣa, and by this perfection, one can bring anyone under his control. This is a kind of hypnotism which is almost irresistible. Sometimes it is found that a yogi who may have attained a little perfection in this vṛkṣa mystic power comes out among the people and speaks all sort of nonsense, controls their minds, exploits them, takes their money, and then goes away. There is another mystic perfection which is known as prakamya, or magic. By this prakamya power, one can achieve anything he likes. For example, one can make water enter into his eye and then again come out from within the eye. Simply by his will he can perform such wonderful activities. The highest perfection of mystic power is called kama vasita. This is also magic, but whereas the prakamya power acts to create wonderful effects within the scope of nature, kama vasayata permits one to contradict nature, in other words, to do the impossible. Of course, one can achieve great amounts of temporary happiness by achieving such yogic materialistic perfection.
Krishna is called Yogeshwara. He is also the master of all yogic mystic power. Therefore, a bhakta, a true devotee of Krishna, he does not endeavor personally to achieve all these yogic mystic power. He depends on Krishna, and if there is necessity of exhibiting some yogic power, Krishna will show, Krishna will exhibit. Jatra yogeshwara hari. So, although Arjuna did not manifest any yogic power, but by Krishna's grace, everything was so wonderfully performed in the battle of Kurukshetra. Otherwise, Arjuna was an insignificant warrior in front of Bhishma, Karna, Dronacharya. This is admitted by Maharaj Parikshit, that it is simply by the grace of Krishna that his grandfather came out victorious in front of Bhishma, Karna, Dronacharya and similar great heroes. So, if any heroic action has to be shown, the devotee does not endeavor separately for showing such heroic manifestation, because it depends on Krishna. If there is need, then Krishna will show. Nimitta matra bhava savyasāci. Actually the battlefield was conducted by Krishna and he owned the victory, but officially, historically, it is said that Arjuna owned the victory. So a devotee does not require to acquire all the talents how to own victory. Krishna will do that business. A devotee has only surrendered sincerely unto the lotus feet of Krishna, then everything will be done wonderfully. Thank you very much.